Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Drew Morg. I'm here with Elise of Raw Alignment.
Hello.
We have a bit of an exclusive interview today. Elise has agreed to do this sort of raw, unedited format. This is going to be very unscripted. Obviously, since she's released her bomb of a video of no longer being vegan a couple weeks ago now, there has been a lot of social media backlash, internet criticism, things stemming, from years back, and it's just kind of all come to a head. So rather than trying to go out and make a bunch of different videos responding to, the dozens of YouTubers at this point who have, been criticizing or making their comments to Elise, we are going to nip it in the bud and actually just cover everything that we can in this video. We've taken some of the most, heavy claims against her on her channel, some of the most liked comments that are negative. We are going to attempt and do our best to respond directly. Elise will be anyway, and I'm going to be here to moderate, keep her honest, push through the interview and continue asking her questions and kind of press for the answers that you all probably are waiting to hear. So our goal with this video is to make it unedited, unscripted. She is aware of some of the questions that I'm going to be asking her, but obviously there's going to be a lot of natural elaboration that goes on with all this stuff. So without further ado,
and also,
yeah,
we've known each other for like 2.5 years, so Drew knows a lot of my backstory with diet, things that I might have unintentionally left out of my coming out video of not being vegan anymore, so he can kind of help prompt me with questions to really help get all of your questions answered.
Exactly, yeah. First week I was in Hawaii, I actually met Elise, so she was one of the first people that I met when I moved there, and we've been in contact ever since. So let's start.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so one of the biggest elephants in the room right now, I'd say this is the hottest topic on the internet as far as, in regards to all these YouTubers making videos and comments towards you, is your vegan/animal eating timeline not adding up.
Okay.
So in your video, you said you've been consuming animal products for roughly 2.5 to 3 months. Mm-hmm. This video was made late March, so that would have put you sometime late December,
right,
for starting to consume your first animal products.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. Let's I guess address, one of the smaller YouTubers that came out, Raw Vegan Ginger, made a couple videos about you.
What's up, girl?
A couple videos about you, some Instagram voice messages that you've left her.
Yeah. And
let's go from there.
Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, as I shared in my video, it's been like 3 months. I shared at the very end of December. Yeah, it's just been like a couple months since I have been testing the waters and diving into this new diet. And so I was in correspondence with Raw Vegan Ginger on Instagram. She was kind of like pounding me with questions like, how are things going? Like, are you still vegan? Are you gonna share a video about why you're still vegan? Just like asking all these questions, talking about the health stuff. She was trying to, help me eat fruit-based, and I've gone down that route. And so we were just back and forth, and she comes up with the question, are you still vegan? This was on January 13th, I believe. And this was at a point where I had been trying things out for a little bit prior, and honestly was in this place of confusion and not really 100% certain in myself. Like it was a big change in my life, shifting my diet. And so I did lie to her.
So you lied to Raw Vegan Ginger.
I did.
The internet wants to stab this information out of you.
Right.
There you have it, guys.
Right.
You lied to Raw Vegan Ginger. Why do you think it was okay to lie to Raw Vegan Ginger about this topic?
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel great to lie. I am definitely not a person who lies, and it was uneasy in the moment, but I kind of had this knowing of like, if I don't address it, like, on Instagram you can see someone saw the message, so I saw the question, and I had this feeling of, if I just don't answer it, period, that is basically telling of the fact that I was no longer vegan. And I know the way that Raw Vegan Ginger is, a bit savage, and could have very easily shared that with her people, with the YouTube community, and I wasn't really ready to share because I was still trying to figure it out and was still trying to become more confident in my decision, and I wasn't ready for somebody else to share my news that I feel it's mine to share in the time that I feel comfortable sharing it. So that's why I chose to lie. And yeah.
So basically you just didn't feel like it was in her rights to have that information to begin with, and it was your right to privacy to withhold that from her at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to some criticisms that Freelee has made in her latest video, calling into question Elisa's vegan timeline. She's even making accusations that you probably haven't been vegan for as close to 2 years from now.
Yeah.
So, or 2 years ago, you may have been consuming animal products and not being honest.
Right.
She specifically brought into question a picture of you supporting your friend Carly,
Right.
who's somebody you've known since middle school.
Yep, we've been friends for over 12 years.
So in this particular comment, or in this particular segment of her video, you liked the photo and you said, you go girl, you eat for freedom, basically.
Right, so
something
Carly
like
was like not vegan, and in her caption she's sharing like, I'm intuitively eating, like I'm feeling so healthy, and so I'm supporting her in the comments. I'm like, food freedom for life or something along those lines. Literally just supporting one of my closest friends, and Freelee's trying to draw the conclusion that like, because I'm supporting anybody who's not vegan, that means that I'm probably not vegan behind the scenes. Which is just a bunch of bullshit, because I've never been the type of person who would fully shun people for not eating a vegan diet. I've always come from a place of, I want people to be as healthy as they can, so seeing my best friend feel healthy, I was supporting that, but that does not mean that I was not vegan for supporting someone.
Okay, so in order to dispel this notion, we've basically found it important to speak directly and specifically to the timeline of when you did start eating animal products and incorporating them even in the smallest amounts.
Okay.
Because if Freelee is making the comment that, hey, you've been potentially not vegan since 2017,
Right.
and you've got this questionable timeline of raw vegan ginger, these 3 months, all this stuff adding up, when exactly did you eat animal products for the first time?
Okay, so the first time that I had anything that wasn't vegan was early September. This is something I didn't share in my original video, sharing that I'm no longer vegan, because it was, it honestly didn't feel like the pivotal point for me. I was just like, I think we talked about it earlier, like I might have had like 24 eggs over the course of like the September, October, November, December, until I really decided to give it a try, to give up the vegan diet and to try something new for my health.
So really, when you said 3 months, it was more like 5 months, and this is just one of those things that happens because
I didn't feel like it was, I don't know, I didn't share it for whatever reason. There wasn't a massive reason. I just felt like it wasn't making a massive change in my life, and I don't know. I made the official shift in my eyes at the end of December, when I really decided to like give it a 7-day trial period, like eating animals, animal products, fish, all of that.
So before that period in mid-September, the eggs, which you purchased from like Whole Foods or something, you said?
Yeah. Whole Foods.
You just so you guys have the nitty-gritty details. How'd you do this? How'd you pull this off? Because people know who you are in public, so.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I just I was nervous about it for sure. I was like, fuck, like a lot of people see me in Whole Foods. Like
Yeah.
I might have met you in Whole Foods. And so I basically like scoped out like an older cashier to ensure it wasn't like potentially someone who's subscribed to my channel, because I just wasn't sure like if I was going to continue consuming eggs. Like I was just trying it out. And one of the main reasons, I guess we'll maybe get into later, that I like wanted to start consuming eggs was that I was hearing a lot of positive changes from friends like Drew and other people who were changing their diet. And so it was kind of like one of the first little things that I was willing to test out, because I was having quite a hard time, like emotionally and ethically, like coming to terms with the fact that like anything not vegan could help me in any way.
So just so that we are 100% crystal clear, any animal products before the September eggs?
No,
Zero.
absolutely not.
So there you go. No 2017, early 2017 BS.
No, I mean, supporting someone with their diet does not correlate to my diet, in my opinion.
Okay, so because of the timeline, do you want to speak a little bit about, perhaps the comments people have made about hosting vegan retreats and that?
Yeah. So I guess there's a bit of a thought going around that's like I've been in a way like scamming or something because I've been hosting retreats that have had vegan food at them. The last retreat that I had before I made these changes was in July. So it was multiple months before I even considered, like I literally didn't consider not being vegan until September. And so yeah, the last retreat was back in July, so that has no bearing, like no correlation, nothing scam worthy at all. And then the most recent retreat I had between July and now was in March, which was after I had changed my diet, and I came out and shared with everyone who was at the retreat that I was no longer vegan, and we talked about it because I wanted to make sure that those people felt cared for and supported, and not like I'm going to come out with my story like right after the retreat and like they wouldn't have known. So we talked about it. We had an open conversation about it, and there was not a big problem.
Yeah, they were mostly supportive of it. I remember you telling me that. The whole retreat was vegan, right?
Yeah.
You used to have a vegan chef in Australia. The girls were given what was promised to them.
Yeah.
There was no issues with any of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to move on to a different subject now. So a lot of people think, and they're criticizing you as well as other ex-vegans, that this notion that doing juice fasting and water fasting and raw veganism, for the record, Raw Alignment hasn't been raw vegan for many years, but I'm sure some of you know that. We'll get more into that. But they have this notion that doing this stuff in your past, during your time as a vegan, somehow deteriorates you to the point where you cannot recover from it, and basically leads you back to animal products at some point. So
right. So a lot of people think that because I've juiced in the past, because I've ever been raw in the past, because I've tried a water fast in the past, all of these things like such a long time ago, that all of this deteriorated my health, and that I basically chose to stop being vegan because of that. But that was all quite some time ago.
Right. So when was the last time that you juice fasted or did anything like raw veganism, water fasting?
So I think I was last like fully raw for a substantial amount of time 2.5 years ago when you and I first met.
Right.
That was like the last fully raw stretch I had. And then my last legitimate juice cleanse fast was just like 2 years ago. 2 years ago in the winter. I remember it was like right before a YouTube house, and I was juicing for a bit, maybe like 5 days or something.
Right.
Yeah.
How were you feeling at this time? Like, why did you feel the need to juice fast in the first place, or water fast, or do any of these raw vegan experiments? Like, why did you always shift up and down? Why did you change your diet so much?
I changed my diet a lot because I was always striving to fix my digestion. I struggled a lot with that, and I felt like the more simple I ate, the better it was. And juicing also helped with that. Obviously, when you're juicing, you're not having any fiber, so your digestion's great. But yeah, that's why I was trying so many things, is because I always struggled with digestion.
And did you ever do what people would consider a whole foods plant-based diet long term?
Yes and no. I would say like the first year to 2 years that I was vegan, I was striving to eat raw and eating mostly raw, but I was also having things like potatoes and rice like the first year before I moved to Hawaii. So there was like a bit of a balanced diet for sure, like the first year I would say. I was never like, I haven't been raw for 4 years, you know? So there was a lot of whole foods, and I haven't really had much processed food, like vegan processed food, aside from when I was on the trail. So it's been pretty whole food, plant-based the whole time.
And you initially moved away from that first period, that first year. You said you were like kind of going, you were striving towards raw, but you were essentially doing a whole foods plant-based diet. In the meantime, you moved away from that, I think you said, because of digestion.
Yeah.
It's just kind of always revolving around digestion, either not being so hot or, you know, trying to get to better digestion.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that in a minute. And I do want to also point out, this is something that I've noticed, this phenomenon with current vegan YouTubers. They are criticizing the ex-vegan YouTubers for having done water fast or juice fast or raw veganism in their past, even though they themselves have, most of them have done long-term raw veganism or water fast or juice fast, and even promoted it in most cases in the past. And I find this interesting because they're still vegan, but they're saying that other people who have left veganism are now, that they're to blame for the previous fasts.
Right.
And I find that very interesting and just completely unfounded and incorrect.
Yeah.
And also I want to point out that during the time period that you did all your fasting and raw veganism and juice fasting, and I myself have had experience with that in the past, you were given a lot of support from your fan base over this.
Yeah, people are into the juicing. Like, would go on a juice cleanse, people would be into it, would eat totally raw. Like, a lot of people were super interested.
Yeah. And so,
but I was always coming from a place of like, I'm just figuring it out,
They like it in the moment, but then when it leads to not being vegan anymore, all of a sudden that becomes
the problem.
Yeah, that becomes the problem. And so I want to talk a little bit now about when I met Elise, which was about 2.5 years ago, first week being in Hawaii. So this would have been October 2016? Yeah, October 2016, I believe. So Elise was actually over 100 pounds. She was probably one of her heaviest weights in recent years. Already been vegan at this point for over 2 years. Already done her juice fasting, already done her raw veganism, already done her water fasting experiments by this point. She was looking healthy. She was obviously lifting in the gym. This was right after the time where she quit her bikini competition that you guys all criticize her for. And she was looking healthy. She was fine. But even from day one of the first things that we connected on was bad digestion.
Yeah.
It was like the first week I was there, I was like, I was basically interrogating everybody like, okay, I finally got a bunch of vegans around me. Let's talk about digestion. Like, are you guys messed up too? Like, what's the deal? And
I was like, first one to raise
she
my
was
hand,
like,
messed up.
yo, we got to talk about this. Like, she could tell that what I was saying was striking a chord and had some, we needed to dive deeper into that. So I just want to point that out, that anybody who's trying to say that the raw veganism or the juice fasting in her past messed her up to the point where she couldn't recover, well, that's BS, because the day that I met her, she was already recovered from that. She was already back to full weight, already back to feeling pretty decent as far as energy is concerned, messed up digestion, but still had some decent performance in the gym. So if you guys all think that, she did the raw veganism and the juice fasting and she was like some depleted skeleton, that's not the case. She was already recovered from that. So moving forward. So a lot of people criticize you for restricting calories, actually. So what do you say to this? People refer to your phases of just eating bananas or papayas or just eating Mary's crackers and avocado for extended periods of time. They think you underate on purpose, due to some eating disorder, to be as skinny as possible. They think you hiked the Appalachian Trail to lose weight. This is something that Freelee said.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little more about this.
Let's talk about this. First of all, I think it's a bit fucked up for anyone to impose their belief and literally share to their entire community, like, with certainty that I am attempting to lose weight, and like all of my ways of eating are coming from a place of disordered eating. It's like a bit fucked up to just put that out there. Back when I was eating lots of banana and papaya, the reason why was because I was striving for optimal digestion. I just wanted to feel the best that I could, and I found that digesting raw vegetables was way harder than digesting fruits like papaya and banana. So I was eating a lot of those things because I just wanted to not feel like my gut was struggling so hard. Because anyone who's had gut issues, that it impacts your life. Like, you can't just have a conversation with someone and like live your life without feeling and knowing that this is going on in your body. It's uncomfortable. So I was striving to eat those things. And then my like Mary's crackers and avocado phase of my life was like all this past summer when I was on my protocol to basically heal from my mold and candida issues. I had to restrict myself and not eat a lot of foods that basically were going to keep those issues in my body. So I found that in order to get the calories in that I needed to eat a lot of avocados, and Mary's crackers were something that I could eat as well. So I was eating a lot of that, but it was feeling restrictive. Like, I was doing that for like a few months and my body was feeling much better, but
you were losing weight.
I was losing a bit of weight.
Like, not wanting to lose weight, but you were losing weight.
Right, yeah. I was trying to get in the calories, and avocados were like the highest plant-based calorie source that I could have. I was also eating a lot of oil, like cooking kale with like a decent bit of oil, making salads with like, guys, like a decent bit of oil, because I didn't want to lose weight. And that was one of the things that led me towards eggs as well, was like just kind of feeling like this is not healthy to have like 6 to 8 avocados a day every single day.
You're kind of striving for like a vegan keto in a way.
I was.
Which is like nearly impossible on a plant-based diet,
and
if anybody's even tried that.
For like this whole past summer.
Yeah, we did the Kona retreat while you were basically doing that, and you like weren't eating with the rest of the people, even though we had 2 chefs there making food for everybody. You were like on the side eating like bowls of avocado and basically miserable and like light, like barely 80 pounds. Yeah. Right? You were just like
when I ate these
off.
other things, I knew it was triggering like the congestion or the brain fog, so I just wanted to stay away from them.
Right. And the notion that people say that you hiked the Appalachian Trail to lose weight
is like, what are you thinking?
So when I knew Elise in Hawaii the first go around, because she came back months later after the Appalachian Trail, but before she left, she was bulking up. So how is that possible?
I was trying to bulk up before the Appalachian Trail because I know that anyone who hikes the trail is bound to lose weight no matter how many calories you're eating. I was eating over 3,000 calories every single day on the trail, hiking like 10 to 15 miles a day, sometimes more. And I wanted to bulk up before the trail because I didn't want to lose too much weight and be too unhealthy on the trail. So no, I didn't hike the Appalachian Trail to lose weight. What the fuck? Yeah,
especially because you gained weight before going on the trail.
Right.
And then you said you lost about 5 pounds on the trail, which is just completely unavoidable, right? You're hiking on average.
Which isn't too bad.
It's not too bad.
Addison lost like way more than me. Some people lose like 30 plus pounds on the trail. Like I did pretty well keeping up with my calories.
Right. Like all things considered, I mean, what else can you do? You know, it's like, it's part of that. So, So what were you eating on the trail? Exactly.
On the trail, I was eating all sorts of stuff. I was eating chips, vegan cheese when we would like go into town and hit up the grocery store. I was eating tortillas and peanut butter and like rice pasta and dehydrated rice and beans. Kind of like all sorts of stuff, like whatever I could do to get my calories in.
Okay, and kind of tying up the Appalachian Trail topic, there's been forever criticism about you quitting the Appalachian Trail, quitting everything that you say you're going to do, switching up things too much, and you know, what do you say to people who criticize you for, you know, only hiking 1,000 miles on the Appalachian Trail on a vegan diet and only being on the Appalachian Trail for 94 days and not completing the Appalachian Trail? How does that make you feel? What do you say to that?
Most people know already. Like I've shared this in multiple videos before, but for anyone who doesn't know or like maybe didn't get it the first time around, like I like to try new things and I like to challenge myself and I like to set high goals, and I don't have fear of failing. Like I enjoy starting new things and I don't have trouble doing that. Yeah, I think that maybe a decent bit of the people who are calling me a quitter are potentially also people who have a really hard time starting things that they want to start.
Yeah, if you don't try to do anything, then it's really easy not to fail, so keep that in mind. All right, so let's move back to a more current time frame. So at this point, you would have moved back to Hawaii after the Appalachian Trail experience. This would have been about September 2017, not too long ago. And you started experiencing your mold issues at this point. So you've been criticized a bit for not seeking professional help with this and not following professional advice to get this sorted out. And people think that you could have perhaps fixed this on the vegan diet. So tell us about the professional help that you looked into after finding out that you had this mold issue.
Okay. Yeah, so essentially last winter is when I was struggling the most with everything. I was trying to figure it out on my own and then eventually sought out help. And I started seeing a naturopath. A lot of people will say that's irrelevant, like nothing they say matters. The specific naturopath I was working with works directly with a medical doctor and they run everything by each other before sharing with their patients. So I had a legitimate protocol that I followed. Well, first I got blood work with her. A lot of different blood work and I think like 15 different tests to check where I'm at with everything. And then I basically had a dietary protocol and a supplemental protocol that I followed starting from June up until I switched my diet. And it did help. Like I'm not gonna lie and say it didn't help. It made me feel a lot better, like significantly better than I did when I was eating the way I was eating before and not taking many supplements and living in Hawaii in this mold environment. But I still knew that I could feel better. I just felt like I wasn't functioning properly still, like 10 months in or 8 months into that protocol. And so that's when I started to become interested in other things.
So when was the first time that you considered the notion that the vegan diet may not be working for you?
It wasn't until we started talking back in like September, August, when you were sharing your story with me, and how you transitioned and like all the benefits that you were noticing. And a lot of the things I was struggling with were also things you were struggling with. Mm-hmm. And I was just at this point of like, okay, I'm feeling much better, but like I'm still not back to myself. My brain's still not working, all of that.
Yeah, I switched over from veganism to animal products late August, and immediately I reached out to Elise and a few other vegans that I knew about, because those of us that definitely connected on like the digestive issue level, which a lot of vegans have that issue, I really wanted to let those people know, because I know the struggle of that. And when I kind of felt like I had a solution to it, I wanted to let people know that there may be a way to fix that problem. And I was experiencing some really good benefits with it. So I think that kind of, helped you maybe experiment with some things at that point.
I was still
consider
confused though. Like I remember you sharing these things and I'm like, that's so good for you. But like, how the fuck can you be feeling this way? Not vegan. And so it literally wasn't until that point that I considered anything else.
Yeah. Okay. So why not supplement everything then? Why not, if you weren't feeling good, why not just do more supplements, the DHA supplements, all the things that people say you can still get from the vegan diet, the algae supplements?
Yeah.
Why not go that route?
Yeah, I mean, I was supplementing probably 15 capsules and things a day starting from June. And I was feeling better. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I wasn't feeling as good as I am now at all. I just felt like I was reaching this cap or like experiencing slow freaking progress. And I wanted to feel good. I wanted to feel like my brain was working properly.
All right, so we're moving on from that. So, you've received some criticism from ethical vegans, especially for previously aligning your brand with the ethical message. You've posted things on Instagram, talking about, meat is murder, and you've had even vegan pages.
I don't know if I went that far, but something along those lines.
Something along those lines. Vegan pages in your coloring book, vegan retreats, this stuff. So people kind of feel like you've turned your back on that. What do you say to somebody who comments on your videos and says, you can't be an animal lover you can't be an animal lover and consume animals? What do you say to that?
Yeah, right now, what I say to that is that I'm currently noticing that my body is requiring animal products in order to function at its optimal level, not just its optimal level within veganism, but like its legitimate optimal level. And that's what I'm noticing at this point in time. If in the future I can feel this level of optimal health while not consuming animals, then I would definitely opt for that. But at this point, that's not the case. Okay,
so moving on to the final question here. A lot of people have been criticizing you for leaving veganism in order to perhaps reach a broader audience, saying that you're doing this for financial reasons, financial gain. Talk a little bit more about that. Talk a little bit more about what being a vegan influencer would be versus being a non-vegan influencer. Like, What do you say to this?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about money and the fact that or people's assumptions that I'm making all these changes for money. And it doesn't really make sense, actually. Like, it doesn't add up, because there are so many people who have tuned into my videos for years who are really interested in my plant-based diet. And it's actually like, it was pretty risky for me to come out with a video and come clean and share that I'm no longer following that diet. Because my retreats were plant-based before, and because I have talked a bit about diet before, and it's actually like more risky to move in this direction than to not.
Yeah, it seems weird that a big part of your audience is probably vegan or plant-based. I mean, we know that for sure. Yeah. But to say that these vegans are coming out for financial gain and saying that it's extremely dangerous to do what they're doing. They're being called, financially manipulative or unethical for what they're doing. It doesn't make any sense. They're being more honest than the current vegan YouTubers that are trying to stay in shame and hide and not actually be honest with their audience and say what they're really doing and how they're really feeling.
Yeah. I could never and would never continue pursuing something that didn't fully align. The whole notion of I'm doing all of this for financial gain is honestly a bunch of bullshit, and anyone who is telling me to basically delete all of my vegan videos and get rid of all of that so that I'm not making money from it, it's part of my journey. Like, I've always shared my journey here. You can scroll back on Instagram, you can scroll back on YouTube, you can watch my first video ever, but to take that video and act as if that's still my message today, just because it's the first video ever, I want to leave everything up so people can see my entire journey. I'm not trying to wipe my past clean because it's what made me who I am today and it's what brought me here. So, yeah.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Do we have anything further that we want to say, that you want to say? This is your chance to speak out, give a message back to anybody who might want to hear it.
I think that I just want to say, take everything with a grain of salt. There's been a lot of different assumptions made about me, and I can understand that it's a bit conflicting and hard to know what the heck is going on. I hope this video helped clear things up, especially with the dynamic of it, like having it be raw and uncut. Yeah, I'm totally down to like answer further questions, but I hope that this provides some closure.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope more people like Elise are going to come forth and speak directly to these criticisms and just really get after it, because I feel like the current vegan audience that's on YouTube is kind of violent and aggressive in their approach. They're more about character assassinating these vegan YouTubers so that they lose credibility with the vegans, so that the vegan audience no longer pays attention to them.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's not founded in truth or progression of understanding how the health of our human bodies works. It's founded on this alleged ethical argument of veganism, and we're not here to I have blatantly bashed veganism, but that's not Elise's message, and she's not necessarily aligning herself with that way, but it's more to shed clarity, get clarity on the comments and the criticisms that people have been making.
The truth, right? Because a lot of it is assumption-based, story-based, like Drew just said, like attempting to take someone down. I just hope you can see that, whether it's now or in the future, that this is real. So thank you for watching. Thank you for helping pull the answers out of me.
Yep. All right. See you guys. Thanks.